Registered with the updated German form, which is not a form, but you have to fill in information the day before you travel, and the Dutch Gezondverklaring, the French attestation. Turns out the Spanish, you had to fill out a long form on file, and then you get this confirmation. Even then, they still want to interview you. Because I'm going to Spain via Germany, even though it costs twice as much just to go to Germany, go figure, I'm not billing some of the shorter haul trips in Spain using my pass, and instead I'm just paying for them directly because it's cheaper than the daily cost of the pass. Heads up, if you book it round trip, you save 20%. Here's Salamanca. I have another one for Toledo. Well, I'm here in Madrid, Atocha, could have been Chamartin, but instead I'm taking a train to Salamanca, which leaves from Principio, so I have to take the Cercanía, happens to be line 4. By the way, not included. This is Madrid, Principio. We're going to be taking the train to Salamanca. There's a high-speed train that leaves from the main station. There's one a day early in the morning, but here we are at Madrid Principio. In going to Salamanca, there's a main stop and a secondary stop, Almería. That's closer into town. That's only going. Returning, you got to go to the main station. If you can book your tickets online, and in this case I could not, you don't pay that extra little tiny supplement fee for using the ticket counter, which is called gastos. And here is 55 cents for the euro. Here is 65 cents. This one I had to buy at the counter. I couldn't buy it online. International train, the only international train available right now between Spain and Portugal. Just north of El Escorial on the east-hand side, you can catch a very momentary glimpse of Spain's version of Versailles. I'm about to start using my global pass. The Interrail pass is for Europeans. The Eurail pass is for non-Europeans. And turns out you can buy it in a German station. They'll print it up right there. I'm using the second class senior 15-day. Some changes, while you can still write down your time and destinations for your trains, you no longer send it in. Well, it turns out I arrived in Spain one day before they go to expanded operating hours. And yes, at least here in Salamanca, everything, and I mean even restaurants, close at 10 p.m. tomorrow night till midnight. And at least I found a little tapas bar that was open. And I'm again reminded, do get a visiting card, or what we call a business card, from the hotel, because the address is not on the key. And even though I stay at the same wonderful little hotel near the more convenient second train stop, I still got lost. Good idea that I had it. Here's a map of the new closing times in Spain. The darkest is 1 a.m. like Madrid and Vigo. The lightest is 10 p.m. Looks like Barcelona is 11, and in the south. Well, I'm here at the main Salamanca train station. That's right up there, big bright red on the right. And in the center is the smaller extension station if you want to get slightly closer into town. That's only for arrivals. For departures, you got to go to the main station. Well, I've confirmed that the international hotel train to Lisbon is no longer and not likely to return. Because this train from Salamanca does not go to the two main train stations in Madrid, Chamartin and Atocha, but instead Principio, but it does say on the ticket that it's valid for the Cercanía, that's the commuter trains, which will connect you. Here's a map of the commuter trains as opposed to the metro trains here in Madrid. Two main train stations are Chamartín and Atocha. Atocha's for the high-speed trains. I'm not going to be using my pass today. The pass is valid, say, as commuter trains in Berlin and Germany, less so in Lisbon and rarely so in Paris. You can get a membership or a boniment, that's a day or monthly pass. I'll be using just the single ticket. You have to specify the station. Here in Madrid's Atocha, having just arrived from the commuter Cercanías, here's the ticket office. There's a better one over there on the high-speed side. Roomier, better service. You've been warned. Now on the high-speed side of the Atocha station, the ticket office is over there. And here's a train board. High-speed trains leave from the upper level, called the Primera. I know it says 1, but remember it's 0 for the lower level, which they call Baja. That's for the non-high-speed trains. Here's the station of Toledo, and it's a bit far. It's up a hill, like many of the old Roman cities. You can take a taxi or the bus, the autobus. In the main square, central, if you will, of Toledo, we'll be going back to the train station on the number 62 bus, Zoco do Ver line, if you like. Or, by the way, you can also look for the number 5. With Toledo, you could take, you wouldn't want to take that. Well, maybe you could take that bus. Or you could have just walked down slightly from the center square over here down to the escalators which go up and down the Toledo Hill. Hell, I'll call it a mountain. Killer trick going between the two main stations in Madrid, Atocha and Chamartín, taking the Cercanía commuter train. To save steps, take the last car opposite the direction of travel. Well, it's new enough to be noting again that for the RENFE, the Red Español Nacional Ferrocarriles, that you would be sometimes also looking for ADIF, the administrative division. That's what the management of the infrastructure is called. Here at Madrid's Chamartín station for the commuter trains, the Cercanía, interestingly, they still uniquely have no ticket control. There's a handy tip. In the long-distance Spanish trains, the bar cafeteria is still closed until the crisis is over. As is sometimes the case in Germany and France, and in this case in Spain, the trains are in two sections, Abteilung if you like, and that means if you get on the wrong one going to the wrong direction, you can't easily get to the other. Here we are at Antequera Santana, and it's being reminded that in Spain, if it has two names, it's a high-speed stop, usually. While the rail pass is certainly valid on the commuter Cercanía trains in various Spanish cities, you can also use the code at the end of the stub of your connecting train. To Barcelona from Malaga, well, most times you might go to Madrid, change, costs more, takes longer. We're going to take the direct train, and it's going to be a slightly new route. In this case, it's cheaper and faster. And here is today's route. Having to get a new rail pass and some tickets because, well, at least I was lucky that they were able to print it at the office at the German station. And, well, my previous ticket had been from Barcelona to Nice,
with a change either at Valence or Lyon, and with a TGV to follow along the coast. But, you know, I knew the timings were the same as the local TER service, so I had to reissue the ticket, but I did a lookup and found out that the trains no longer seem to connect to Nice. Well, that's a special date. Turns out there's no through trains because of road work. Well, I made it instead to Nîmes, knowing that the international French-Spanish trains are cheaper the closer you are to the border. Well, in that case, I found that, well, instead I can at least go through to Marseille. And look at all them changes on the TER. But how do I get to Nice? Turns out there is another station starting off with Marseille, and it's from Blancard. Well, in that case, that's what I did. Means I'll have to do a change maybe at a taxi in Marseille, and looked it on the map. It should be feasible. I'll let you know. I thought I'd check on the Renfe Spanish Cercanía commuter train. You have to choose the city. In this case, it's called Rodales. That's for the Catalonia region around Barcelona. And it turns out my connection's a little tight for my train going to France because it has a mandatory airplane type of check-in and delay. The reason I'm doing this is because unlike the other Cercanías, this one does not have an automatic ticket reader, meaning you got to stand in line and get the okay from the clerk, etc., etc. And I remember more than once here at this little touristy town, that can be a problem.
Here in Barcelona, Catalonia, the tickets don't have a code, so you have to go through and wait to get it approved using your rail pass. Here in Barcelona Sants main train station, there's really three sets of time boards. There's regional trains, grand trains, and the slow trains, the Cercanías. And each one of them have arrival departures.
Well, I'm here in Figueres, Spain. The station's right over there. It's the local station, not the high-speed station, Villafont. And the reason is the French wanted me to have a newer test, even though I thought it was good for Europe. And I filled out all the forms. And turns out you want the CRS test, but if you're going to France. But in this case, we can do the antigen test because I'm transiting through to Italy, and there's the testing clinic. I'm here at the regular non-high-speed station here at Figueres. We're calling Adif means the same thing as Renfe, the Spanish train. Villafont is the high-speed Figueres stop. I'm doing that because the French wouldn't let me in. I had to get a new pass for transit to Italy. That's an antigen test. And we'll be taking trains which are regional trains, so with the pass, no reservations. Well, I just went through pass control between Sevres and Severs, meaning Spain and France, and even though I prepared with a new test, they just wanted to see my passport. Well, it's Friday here in Marseille, and it's 9 o'clock. Everything is still closed, but you know what? Everything opens in France on the 19th of May. Well, I stayed in Marseille after all. There was a connecting metro between the two stations in Marseille. It was 6 stops. I did buy a ticket and just missed the metro touching the door as it closed. Oh well. Well, I'm going from France, Nice to Italy, and both of my COVID tests should be valid there. The more rapid, cheaper one is the one for Italy, they say. And I would have normally made a reservation on the train called Tello. That's the French-Italian operator. Trouble is the pass is not valid. And you can sometimes get a good fare way in advance, sometimes not. On the other hand, I did a little bit of research, and gee, both the French and Italian sites do no longer accept global pass reservations. I made these through the Eurail site, not Rail Europe. They no longer do reservations. Well, it turns out it's going to be far cheaper. I'm taking the Well, the inner city to Milan, and then from Milan to Bologna using the inner city instead of the Frecciarossa. Far cheaper in both cases. Here's an exemplar of a Tello train that runs between Italy and France. It's a private service. The rail pass is not valid. Today we'll be avoiding that, instead taking a TER, French train, to the Italian transfer point, Ventimiglia from Niceville. As we leave Nice going to Ventimiglia in Italy to make our connection, I'm struck by how the French are more sensible about their mask wearing, you know, when it's appropriate. Spanish, on the other hand, religious, rigid, way too much scolding. Well, I entered Italy in nothing more than a perfunctory passport control. Well, noting the time here at the main Genoa train station, by the way, that's Gin in French, noting the smaller sign, the smoking area is still allowed. They have them now in Germany, that's by a yellow square. They religiously follow those. Generally tolerant in Belgium. Netherlands has restricted the rokerzones. And French, well, it's a wink, wink, nod, nod if you're acting in a courteous manner. Sweden, on the other hand, absolutely prohibited. As we're about to leave Bologna, Italy, not far from where the original first COVID outbreaks were, well, you could get a Burger King small chicken sandwich, often not on the menu, very unique here in Europe all throughout. I much prefer my favorite street food, which is an arancine, and that's a deep-fried risotto rice ball with ragu and meat and cheese. Yummy. It turns out that the Austrian train site, oebb.at, was right, and the local folks here in Italy were wrong. The train to Munich has been canceled. It's a Euro city, one of the few in the west part of Europe. So I'll instead be taking the regional train, no reservation, to Verona, Portonova, and it'll be leaving on track 5 west, which is over here. While there is no meal service on the inner city trains in Italy, there is meal service on the red, silver, and white arrow trains, the Frecciarossa, Bianca, e Argenta, the high-speed trains. Taking some money from what the English call a cash machine, distributore moneta, geldautomat, and make sure you don't do the conversion. Keep it in euros, you get a better exchange rate, and avoid those cards that have transaction fees like Bank of America. Use Capital One, or a debit card is better, and that's good advice. Well, they canceled my train going to Munich, if you will, here from Italy. There's one there every 2 hours. They are going variously here from Verona to Rimini, to Venice, Venedig, Venezia, and Bologna. And see right over there, that's the German office. They changed the reservation for free. This Austrian inner city train from Italy to Munich via Austria, we're going to have a minibar service. Here at Brenner Brennero, the frontier between Italy and Austria, they did announce on the train you need to register for Austria, but I didn't find it on the oebb.at site. I did register for passing through to Germany, and it's a complete form. Can do it only 3 days before, and you need a 3-day valid or shorter test for COVID. Here's news that are going to open on Wednesday, May 19th, here in Austria and Germany, just like in France.
Aus- und einsteigen. Mind the gap.
Here we are entering Germany, and they do a strong border check during the coronavirus. So on this Euro City train, going from Salzburg to Munich, then on to Frankfurt am Main, the Speisewagen, the restaurant car, is open. Yay! Here at Munich, at the little Raucher smoking zone with the yellow stripes, Munich has a wonderful little Eurail office with a very helpful guide. Arriving here at Cologne Messe Deutsch. That's a pass-by station near Cologne, Colonia, Film, and it's faster many times, which is what I did. So you take a connecting train across the river. Just a hop, skip, and a jump. Look for a Regionalbahn. In Cologne, Köln, if you will. Everything is still shut down except takeout food. And I've been told they're going to delay it 2 weeks after May 19th because it's a separate Länder, federal public. We'll see. Well, here in Cologne, noting it is a federal republic, so they have 16 different rules for 16 different Länders. All the restaurants close at 9, and they are real strict about the mask. Has to be a 2-ply mask. Snug. I'm here in this Swiss Eurocity train, and they've announced that the Speisewagen restaurant car is closed. Well, I'm here in Frankfurt am Main, which means I get to do my JFK joke, because there's another Frankfurt on the east side called Oder, and Ich bin ein Frankfurter oder nicht. Okay. Any case here, everything closes at 8 p.m. The bars aren't open. We'll see that if in this Länder, the rules change tomorrow on Wednesday.
Well, looking at timings between Frankfurt and Berlin, ooh, look at that. See that little backward flying S there on that one train? That's a sprinter train. It is faster, but wait a minute, your pass is not valid. There are two major routings, one by Fulda and the other by Leipzig. Well, this French report is noting it's opening up in France and in Austria. No mention, though, about Germany. Das ist nicht so gut.
Here in Berlin's Hauptbahnhof, probably the biggest in Europe, 4 odd floors and tracks, to connect to Zoologischer Garten, or what they locals call Zoo. The easiest way is take the S-Bahn. It's up there, track 14, your pass is valid. Exit is track 16. Well, it turns out here in Berlin, unlike, say, Austria and France, where everything opened on the 19th of May, it turns out restaurants for takeout only close at 10. Likewise for the bars, where you're allowed to drink on the street. Here in Berlin, where things are still closing at 10 p.m., and you can get a free COVID test. I'm not sure what kind it was. This one was a spitter instead of a noser. And, well, it's free, unlike the other places where you had to pay an arm and a leg, or in a couple of cases, my nose. In Berlin, I'm going to Hamburg, and I could have taken the faster ICE train, but I think I'm going to take the Eurocity coming out of Prague, about 20 minutes slower. It's well worth the bother. Here in my favorite little Czech train, while originating in Prague, I'm going to be using it from Berlin to Hamburg. I'm going to be doing the schnitzel, including the goulash soup. And they do have happy hour prices, but if you actually check the timetable, that's only if you happen to be in what they now call check-in. And let them know in advance you will be billing in České kroner for a better exchange rate in advance, on your credit card, avoiding the foreign exchange fees if you're using, say, Capital One.
Well, here's news here in Germany that Munster has opened, and here in Hamburg, it's going to take till Sunday.
Here in Hamburg, I had to go down to the Harburg station, taking the S-Bahn, because, well, that's what they said I had to do. Nice thing about the bahn.de site, gives you current train information, including revised times.
The reservation-free German ICE train from Cologne to Brussels, Bruxelles. Well, because the Thalys is way too expensive. That's the other train. Well, here at Aachen, Aix-la-Chapelle, if you like it in French, the border entering Belgium, it seems like there is no border control checking for the COVID coronavirus. Maybe not. As we pass Zaventem in the airport, which is a special supplement airport charge, no matter we are coming into Brussels, Bruxelles, and we'll be soon joining the main north-south line toward Antwerp, Anvers, and onward to Amsterdam. Nice thing about the German reservation-free ICE train between Belgium and Germany is it also stops at Brussels Nord, unlike the Thalys train, more expensive, which does not. At Brussels Nord, you can connect to Bruxelles Central, which should not be confused with the central station, which is Brussels Sud or Bruxelles Midi, with Midi being a reference to the way the French use it, pointing to the south, just as to say the Mediterranean, if you will. Here in Brussels, where everything is open, but still things are closing at 10 p.m. As we say goodbye to Brussels, again, as in Cologne, more than one occasion, young foreigners, real abrupt, obvious pickpockets, coming up to give you a bon appetit greeting, grabbing at your pockets. You've been warned. Well, I made it to France this time, albeit from Belgium and after France has reopened. And I'm here at one of the two Lille stations, Lille Flanders, which is for local trains and for those going to Paris. There's also Lille Europe. That's a high-speed station. Paris is back wide open. Mindful, it's still closed at 9, and everything is still on the street, but c'est bien. C'est ça? Aboard the train going to Montpellier. There's now two stations in Montpellier, Sud de France and Saint-Roch. This one's scheduled to go to the faraway station, which means a transfer could have taken the slightly quicker TGV, cost more money. We'll be changing Nîmes to Gare, again a secondary station, but that's okay. Also, I'm noting that the French, like the Belgians, have a very common sense attitude about wearing masks and smoking. When appropriate, yeah. Otherwise, qu'est-ce que c'est? Because the meal cars are still closed in the French trains, a little preparation in advance is nice, and always a good idea to go outside the station for better priced and better prepared meals. This is the other station, Nîmes Pont de Gare, out in the middle of nowhere. It's a high-speed stop. Same thing will be true for the Montpellier stop, Sud de France, far out of town. I made it into Spain, mindful I took the regional train instead of the high-speed train where I did have problems. And that may explain it all, but of course they did change the rules and relax them. And I'm back in Spain, no problems. I've taken this train, probably the longest in distance in Spain. I could go through Madrid, lots of changes, more expensive. This one's real scenic, among other things. It goes to Pamplona, and because it's priced so cheap, I'm actually using it outside my rail pass. Here's our trip journey, and you see we go all the way across, cafeteria bar is still closed and no free headphones during the crisis. With no more projections of a return of a hotel train between Portugal and Spain, the only possibility is from Vigo to Porto, and now only in the mornings. At the head of that escalator here in Toledo, just down from the main square, is a really ausgezeichnet modern art museum. I'm here in Salzburg, Austria, and everything is closed and it's only 7 p.m. And you know what? No one is wearing a mask except in the train.